Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne, and this is episode 120. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe, follow, or like button on the platform that you're listening to. You can also check out my work at theloudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive interviews, live photos, show and album reviews, not available anywhere else. My guest for this episode is newcomer JOHN DEMENA. He has a new album out called Dreams and Lies. It was originally released in 2019, but didn't really get its due to the obvious shutdown of the world. But now it's back. It was released on March 3rd through ADA. And here's JOHN DEMENA to tell you more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing about JOHN DEMENA, how would you describe your music to me?
I like the term new old rock to define it because it's pretty much like very, classic rock, like guitar driven, big guitars, big solos, big riffs type of guitars, but kind of like the modern evolution that, classic rock would have today. So I would say that like it's classic rock with a modern twist, like a few, like dystopian ideas here and there, like a few progressive lines here and there, but mainly like guitar driven rock, classic rock with a modern twist.
You recently re-released your debut album, Dreams and Lies, on ADA on March 3rd. This was originally released in 2019, correct?
Yes, it's a debut album, but it was released like just a few months before the world just collapsed pretty much. So for a new artist, like a debut album, where you gathering all the troops to get like the best release possible and then go on the road and do those things. And then it was like 2 months after it just, everything shut down. So, like a lot of time during the pandemic thinking, rethinking ideas, like being creative, rewriting. And then I thought about, just maybe like remixing a few things, like re-recording a few things, bringing in a few more collaborators, and it's really enriching process. And then, the album is much nicer now. And now you can give it like a proper release and, it's just, it makes more sense to do it at this time for me. Yeah.
When you were putting this album together, you were the primary songwriter, you played the instruments, you demoed everything out on your own. When you got into the studio, you got with some studio musicians. So how did that all come together?
So the musicians that recorded this album I've known for like close to a decade here, like they're regular, like jam sessions here. Some of them played in bands with friends, or some of them I would just go and see them live, or, they're like a very, great clubs over here where people just do jams or like, and so the main idea was like, I wrote everything and, it just, it was like defining the concept of the album. And then I was thinking about, the album is diverse and, I'm very curious when it comes to, and try to be very creative and, not to, limit myself in terms of that. And then I was thinking about what like the best players to record this. It was like, who is the best player for this, or such a diverse content, or, who is the most musical person that can do this. And then I talked to, the guys that I was thinking about at that time that I knew for a while, like Glenn Sobel, who is the current drummer for Alice Cooper, and Pete Griffin, who is the bassist, who was with, Steve Vai and, Guitar X, Generation X, and, Zappa Plays Zappa in the past, and Matt Rode, who was the keyboardist for Jane's Addiction. And I was like, what you think about this? I wrote this album. Will you be interested? And, all of them were very, like conducive to the conversation, and they, wanted to do it. And then it was very nice for me because, when it goes from the way that it sounds in your head, and then will you achieve that in, in the studio or something like that? But then finally getting the results that I wanted, that was very nice. Just like, and, it was really relieving, like that, finally you have the sound or the concept that you wanted for the album. So, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the songs that you've released as singles / videos. You recently released Dreams and Lies. So if you want to talk a little bit about what that song's about.
Yeah, that was the first song that I wrote for the album. So that was pretty much like the seed that kind of like was pointing the direction of the album. And I'm very proud of that one, because that one, in terms of like creativity, I went everywhere all across the spectrum. Like the song starts like very soft, like this, like dreamy type of, like guitar lines or something like that. And it can go very edgy and painful on one side. Or I sing from the lowest register, which is almost like talking, to my highest at that point. And it's also like very hypnotic, I would say, in a way. But at the same time, it's like a lot of hills and valleys. And that was kind of like the song that told me, is like, this is the direction that you have to go more or less with the album, which is this dream sunlight, this dichotomy of, things like hot and cold and sweet and sour at the same time, both the lyrics, and, it was very poetic too. So I'm very proud of that one. And I thought that was the best one for being like the title track of the album.
You've had a video out for a little while for Eternal Eyes. Let's talk about a little bit the story behind the song before we get into the video.
Yes. So this song, it's just, I always like a lot of dystopian literature. It's something that started at, when I was in high school, like the right teacher at the right time, presented the right book. And then it just became, I always wanted to do like a kind of like a dystopian type of, but at the same time, not like just like overly critical or dark. Like it's kind of like, I always like Blade Runner and all those movies. I mean, you can see it up there, but so much like the aesthetics is like how beautiful it is, like how you can, talk about chaos or end of the world and all that, but in such a beautiful design, like the shots are really beautiful, like, the lights, the whole thing. So I was like, I wanted to do a song like that. So for a while, I mean, the concept came before the song. Like for a while, one of those things that one day you're just traveling or you're just walking down the road, and I was like, Eternalize. I was like, I like the concept Eternalize, because it depends on how you play on the words. You can go, it can be your eyes are eternal, but it can also be eternal lies, but it can also be eternalized. I was like, I really like this thing, because the listener can be like, what does it mean? I really like the listener to, it's almost when you watch a movie and you go home and you kind of like, you have it spinning in your head or something like that. I wonder what this is, and it's a song that was like, the bass line was kind of like the first thing that I came up with, and it was like the one like just driving everything else. And I'm really proud of that one. It seems to be the most popular, like the one that everybody likes. And the music video too, it was like one of those things like pandemic. A lot of time I met, I came across this amazing filmmaker, animation from India, who won like tons of awards. And it worked out. I mean, I was like, would you be interested in the video? I thought it was something very different too. And it presented something like a very interesting, and, it seems to be like the song that everybody likes, or like maybe, the most popular song for like in my humble beginning, or like, for a first album. But, very nice song, in my opinion, to present yourself with, to a new public or something like that.
This video's actually won a bunch of awards, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won the Barcelona Awards. It won another one, Barcelona Indie Awards. It won an award now in Switzerland that is called Bullets. It's Flowers Against Bullets. And then it's been nominated for a bunch of them right now, which is, very nice. I mean, for like an up and coming artist, like emerging artist that, you just pop your head out of nowhere for the first time and people are reacting to it. It's a nice, it feels nice. Yeah.
You also have a standalone single for the Doors, for a cover of the Doors song, People Are Strange, that appeared on a compilation album for Rhino Records. Know the compilation is 6 different versions of Strange. How did that opportunity come about for you?
Yeah. So after signing with ADA for the distribution of the album, it was like a few months after, they reached out with an opportunity. They were saying, Warner wants to do this Halloween compilations where they have songs in the Warner catalog that do very well when it comes to Halloween. So they were like, so what they want is like the newly signed, like indie artist, like under ADA, to do, like a cover, and then we do a compilation. Like there was like 3 songs that they offered. It was The Doors, People Are Strange, Warren Zevon, Werewolves of London, and then Talking Heads, Psycho Killer. I mean, like those 3 big songs for Halloween. And it was very nice opportunity, but the thing is, like, I only had like a month and a half to do it. So it was like literally they were like, yeah, if you want to do it. And for me, The Doors is like, it's one of my favorite bands. I also live in an area where like there's a lot of Doors history here. They're like literally plaques down the street. So I was like, how can I do something that, I'm not proud of, and then just walk by this street every day and see that thing? So I wanted to do like from a very, tribute like point of view and straight true to the song, but also transform it. I mean, because otherwise, like if you're just gonna cover it doing the same thing, or just taking the same song, there's no point in doing that, because I mean the original is just untouchable. Or so it was very nice. I wanted to flip the whole song, like if it was fast, I made it slower. Like I flipped their chorus is my verse, and their verse is my chorus. I changed the instrumentation, and I mean, I had like a few weeks to reimagine the song, and then we have to record it like remotely. I recorded bass, vocals, and guitars here. Then for years, I was talking to Jeff Babko, who is the keyboardist for Jimmy Kimmel Live. Same, like in jam sessions, is I would love you to play one day, and then this was like the perfect opportunity. Like if you want to replicate those, Doors, like Ray Manzarek's, keyboards, it was the best, for that. That was like very nice when it came to that. And we mixed it remotely between Spain and here, and it just came out, and the video was done also. Like, so it was a very, refreshing opportunity, but it was very stressful because you only had like 45 days to, reimagine a classic, record it, get the artwork, but, it paid off at the end,
How did you end up signing with ADA for the distribution of this album?
We were looking for like different distributors, when it came to that. We reached out to a few ones, and I mean, I knew that I wanted to be with one of like, the main ones, like the Orchard, or, In Groups or something like that. We rolled the dice, and then we reached out, and then it worked out for them. It worked out for us, and we went with them. I mean, there are a few labels before that were interested, but then just like I said, everything stopped, and then we have to move forward. And then ADA seemed to be like the best opportunity for us, or like the best partner for. I mean, we're still independent, and it's just distribution, but
absolutely. You just announced that you're going to be playing a show at Breaking Sound in Los Angeles on the 8th of June. Are you planning to keep your shows local, or are you going to try to go across the country?
As much as we can do. Right now that things are, the album was just released. The main idea is like, doing things like locally and maybe the West Coast, but we're opening, the door to anything that comes along, like either touring or like supporting somebody, or like just going on tour with bands that we know, like to share the bills, or and do a couple of those things. But the idea is to the next 2-3 years just focus on the US, and just do as much as I can. And then maybe, because I grew up in Europe too, there are things that maybe one day over there can open up, like in Spain or something. So maybe doing that over there with like, like a band from there or something like that. But the main idea right now is like LA, West Coast. And I mean, as much as we can, go for, touring nationally. Yeah.
You got an interesting backstory. I saw that you immigrated from Spain to the United States in 2008, but wasn't an easy journey for you. You were jobless. You didn't have any contacts here in the United States. You didn't have any sufficient work experience, but I saw that you're walking red carpets at Netflix events, so you've certainly turned things around. How was it to break free from the struggles?
It was very, very slow and very gradual. And I mean, the story of an immigrant, there's nothing that you can, mine is not more than anyone else's, or, but the thing is that for me was timing, because I moved out here like 2 months before the recession hit. So you just move out here, and I didn't even know what credit was in this country, because I thought it was like, well, if you have a bank account, you have money, you can rent places. And then I will go places, and they're like, no, we cannot rent you anything because you don't have credit. And I was like, what? So I ended up like living in hostels, like sharing, like rooms with like 6-7 people, 8 people for like 3 months, because that's the only thing that I could afford. And going applying for jobs, but they promised that you will get a job, and then the recession was hitting, so the layoffs were just back and forth. So it was like a lot of You catch some breath, then it deflates. Like you catch some breath again, then it just, so the first 4 or 5 years, it was very like deadlines. Making things, breaking even or losing your health benefits and going back. But eventually, just it's uphill. But then eventually things get better, or like it's just and finally you start breathing. And then for the music was the same. I mean, that was like just to establish myself. But the music is like I tried to put together bands, but it never manifested because people were like in 3 or 4 different bands or to make things happen, or so there was a time that I was like 1 year I just went through 3 different drummers, and I was like, I think this is the signal that this isn't going to go anywhere. So it was like the only way to move it forward is to do it myself. So it was like, it's just it's slower, but then you get things going on. I mean, you have control over what you do, and then you can do it. Just you have to wear the hats of like a whole band, like, and do what everybody does. But now it was the only way to move it forward. I mean, I've always been a band man, but it was impossible to, because I get it. It's like, it's a very expensive town, and people have to have like 3, 4, 5 bands to pay the bills. So I survived all those, like struggles, and I guess right now I'm fine. And then the pandemic too, but it was nothing different than the story of anybody that comes to this country. But for me, it was like, Jesus Christ, it was just the beginning. It was really intense, and then it got better later.
You're endorsed by Paul Reed Smith Guitars. Is this been a guitar that you played when you started out, or is this something that you eventually got into?
Yeah, I played them since I was like a 20 something, been playing all my life. I have a bunch of them over here. I mean, are you like a guitar fan, or into guitars, or like this is the one that I've been playing lately, which is the Custom 24. Yeah, I've been playing them for like, I would say, a decade. So the whole like the partnership just came together like after being playing them for a while, and it's been great. It's just we signed right before like everything happened. So like they're being like very patient with like how artists were like developing at that time. And right now it's been great, and like it's, for me, it's been like not only like a reliable type of guitar, but also like the company for an emerging artist to get support with or something like that. So very proud of I mean, just you see their rosters, and the fact that they they welcome you into the family, that's very that's pretty much like like an honor. So yeah, pretty happy to be with them. Yeah.
The album Dreams and Lies mainly focuses on the classic rock sound, and I saw that you were actually inspired by flamenco guitarist Paco de Lucia. Have you ever thought of working sort of that flamenco style into your music?
I have a song actually for the next album. I'm on the fence because it could be too different. But I'm just going to go like in a very progressive type of way with that. I like a lot of, I mean, I'm like nothing to compare to like a proper flamenco player, because I mean, I grew up over there and I know what it's like. I did a recent video where I was doing like something for PRS that was like mixing like a Pink Floyd, like Run Like Hell, like that double delay type of like, but I did it with a flamenco, like style. And, that was just like, playing around. But I have a song maybe that I was thinking maybe with a flamenco singer, like a female singer or something like that, doing something for the next album. Definitely it's going to be very, like exotic or something like that. But maybe that will make a way into the next one. Yeah, but I'm completely open to do something like that when it makes sense, I mean, being from Spain, people always like, you should do a song, but it's like, you should not force those things because it's like very cliche, like typical rock or something. I was like, if it's something that naturally makes its way into that, and it's a song that really makes sense, I will do it. And I've been wanting to do it, but I was like, it has to be right. It cannot be like, like copy paste flamenco chords over this or, yeah.
How far are you into your second album?
We wrote, like I would say like 10, 15 songs. So right now it's just timing more than anything else. It all depends on how much we gig right now. But my idea is to get it done within the next year or so. So, I mean, we're debating right now whether to do like an EP or an album. I don't know which one makes more sense at the time. It's going to come to the concept. Like if the concept is very solid, and I can see like a solid concept of like 6, 7, 8 songs that just tap into one idea or one concept, we'll do that. If not, we'll do an EP. But I would say like thinking about recording and releasing maybe next year around this time.
Mm-hmm. All right. Those are all the questions I have for you today, John. The new album is Dreams and Lies. It's out now on ADA. Great album. You should be proud of it. And thank you for your time coming on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and then just give me the opportunity to just, like present myself to your audience. And it's been awesome. And thanks so much, man. And take care.
Once again, I want to thank John DeMena for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out his latest album, Dreams and Lies, out now. Head over to your favorite music streaming app. Take a listen to what's available. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy. Support the artist. For all things John, head over to his official website, johndemena.com. I also want to thank David at Freeman Promotions for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. I'll see you again soon.